One of the most common clarinet complaints is getting that sort of fuzzy, airy sound like this. So in this video, I'm going to tell you why that might be happening and how to fix it. My name is Josh Gu, and I'm taking my years of experience learning, teaching, and performing, and sharing all of my best clarinet and music tips so you can get more out of your practice, and most importantly, have fun. You can learn more about all of my many resources at QuickStartClarinet.com, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit the bell to get notified when I post new videos. So I want to start with the big picture of why that airy sound will happen, and then we'll sort of break that down into a few sort of subcategories that you can explore and experiment with. So the big picture is that the reed isn't vibrating fully and the resonance through the instrument isn't really clear and really connected through everything. What I mean by that is that the column of air from your support down in your lungs through the vibrations of the reed into the clarinet, all of that connection is not well supported and vibrating with the maximum energy that it needs to. That's what a fuzzy or airy sound is lacking energy and sort of dullness to it. So I want to start with an easy one to roll out, which could be an equipment thing. Oftentimes we might get little leaks in a certain pad somewhere, and you'll know that it's an equipment issue if it happens around a certain note and the notes below that. So say, for example, I'm leaking a little bit from this side key. So I'll simulate that by sort of pressing that side key ever so slightly. And then as I play the scale going down, the sound will be fine, and then it suddenly won't be fine, and you'll get something like this. And you might even get to the point where it starts to squeak. That's the sign of an instrument. A few notes above a certain point are fine. The notes below a certain point are not fine. You probably have a leak. Another thing you can do to double check if you have a leak, especially if you have somebody to help you out, is as you play down, find that note where it sort of really starts getting fuzzy and stops working. Then go and sort of press down each pad. And oftentimes if the pad just has a little leak to it, when you press on it, it'll seal and you'll get sort of the effect of going from where the sound will suddenly come into focus after being fuzzy when you press and actually seal whatever pad may be the problem. Now the second subcategory of bad resonance and maximum vibration is in the reed itself. What I often find the fuzzy sound comes from feels to me like there's dead spots in the reed. It's sort of like part of the reed is vibrating really well, part of the reed is not vibrating as well. And what this actually is an unbalanced reed. An unbalanced reed is where one side of the reed is a little bit softer, the other side is a little bit harder. Now I'm not going to talk about reed adjustment too much in this video because that's a whole nother topic on its own. But I think when we understand that there's something about the reed vibrations that are amiss when we're getting that airy sound, then we can start to make some adjustments and play a little differently to help improve that, which is the third category of sort of embouchure things. But first I do want to give you one reed adjustment and one reed balancing tip. What you can do to test if your reed is out of balance is just play an open G and turn the clarinet about halfway around so that your lip is actually pinching off half of the reed. So when we have our normal embouchure and we twist it, then we actually pinch off that half of the reed, where if we twist it the other way, we pinch off the other half. Hopefully the camera's in focus so you can see that. But what that allows us to do is feel how each side of the reed is vibrating. So I'm do that and get so you can hear how when I have the clarinet twisted this way, I'm pinching off the right hand side of the reed, the left side of the reed is vibrating, and it sounds a little stuffy and airy that way. When I turn it the other way, I'm pinching off the left side of the reed, the right side of the reed is vibrating, and that one's a little bit clearer. So what we're gonna do, and If we're doing full reed adjustment, you could sand down the left side of the reed or take material off of the left side of the reed and make it softer to match the right side. But a really easy way to do it is just move it away from the hard part. So if the left side of the reed was what was hard, I'm going to move it off center a little bit that way, and it'll make it easier to play. So if I just slide that over just a tiny bit, it'll look funny because the reed will be off center, which normally we don't want, but because this side's a little bit harder, moving it over gets a little bit more of the thin edge vibrating against the rail of the mouthpiece. Then we can test the side-to-side balance again. Now they're much more even. Now they're kind of both airy, which isn't great, which leads me to the other point about reeds, is that airiness can also come from just a generally too hard reed. If we think again about that big picture idea that the issue is the reed's not fully vibrating and not fully resonant, if the reed is just too hard and too stiff, and you aren't compensating with good air support and good embouchure support behind it, then it's not going to fully vibrate. And I think this reed is a little bit on the hard side for this mouthpiece, so when doing that embouchure and balance test side to side, then it's going to sound hard. But it was more in balance, which will make it play better because at least both sides will be vibrating equally. And that brings us on to our last category of things, which is your input into the instrument and what you're doing to get the reed to vibrate. So like I was saying, if the reed's a little bit too hard, then we need more air support and more embouchure support. However, if the reed's too soft, then we need maybe slightly less air support. Always more air is good, but maybe slightly less or a little bit more narrow focused air, and definitely less embouchure support so we're not pinching it off. Because you can get that sort of fuzziness and that airiness, and especially sort of a really thin, I call it sometimes a constipated sound, if you're biting down too much and you get that where it's just really stuffy, really tight sound. But also on the other hand, if your bottom lip is really soggy, that will also be dampening the vibrations of the reed and creating airiness and fuzziness like this. Same thing also if the air is too weak, then there's not enough energy to actually get the reed to vibrate, and you get a really shaky, really unstable kind of barely the sound is coming out, and there's more fuzziness to it than actual tone to it. So for your inputs, what you want is a really energetic airstream, a really well-supported airstream that's going fast with good pressure and good support behind it, kind of like a as if you're blowing through a narrow straw, because that's kind of what we're doing, is this narrow mouthpiece and the width of the reed we're trying to blow through and get a good airstream supporting into. The other part then is a firm to the touch embouchure so that you aren't squishy and dampening the vibrations of the reed, but instead firm, solid, supportive. And then I like to think about squeezing in from the corners so that we aren't biting and pinching off the vibrations of the reed. And if you get all of those inputs balanced just right, even on a reed that's a little bit too hard for this mouthpiece, you can get a clear, full sound. But you have to find that balance of what the equipment's giving you and sort of what the reed needs with your input of air support and embouchure support so that you can maximize the vibrations of the reed and get the whole reed vibrating. Because again, that's the reason why airy sound happens, is that you don't have full vibrations of the reed, either because it's vibrating too slow and wimpy, or maybe it's out of balance and there's sort of dead spots in it, or your embouchure pressure is pinching off part of it and not all of it, and that's causing dead spots, or just pinching off or dampening in general to cause dead vibrations as well. Good sound comes from good reed vibrations, so if you want to get the airiness and the fuzziness out of your sound, you need to work to translate all the air that you're putting into it in to read vibrations by finding that balance and finding that sweet spot of working with the reed. So let me know if you have any questions in the comments, especially when it comes to airy sound, or if anything that I said was unclear or you want any further clarification or further ideas on how to work on this. Speaking of how to work on great clarinet playing, you can now test drive the Next Generation Clarinet method 100% for free. I pulled out a few pages from the sort of first third of the book that covers the 3 key clarinet fundamentals that you need from Mary Had a Little Lamb all the way through even the most advanced music that you work on. These are the same 3 fundamentals that all professionals spend most of their time focusing on. So if you want to know what those 3 keys are, go to quickstartclarinet.com/test drive, and you can check it out and get the timelines and get videos and work through it and get those fundamentals down in your clarinet playing. Thanks so much for watching this video. I hope it's been helpful, and I look forward to seeing you in another one. And last but not least, a huge heartfelt thank you to the Dennersons. This is like the QuickStart Clarinet family who supports the channel and helps to make everything that I do possible. If you would like to support the channel and get some awesome rewards in return where we can work one-on-one over video and you can have my full support moving forward on your clarinet journey, then go to quickstartclarinet.com/supporter.